Welcome to the fourth and final weekly video of Fairy, where I have been using this book by Aurora Kane to flip through and let whatever page I land on decide what fairy I drew. If you missed any of my previous weekly videos, they will all be in the description down below, as well as a playlist for all shorts and videos that I have made this entire month. But if you're caught up, thank you so much, and I hope you look forward to seeing these designs in my shop. Every fairy will be their own sticker or possibly a sticker sheet, but for now, on to the last week of February. Starting with day 22, we got the Bridal Veil Stinkhorn. It is considered edible, unlike others belonging to the Phallus genus that may only be edible in the egg stage. Others are poisonous, so always triple check identification if it's your intention to eat this. Other common names are bamboo mushroom, basket stinkhorn, bridal veil, crinoline stinkhorn, or just simply the veiled lady. And to take an excerpt like we've been doing since the last few videos, this fairly large member, up to 10 inches or 25 centimeters tall, of the Phallus genus is rather demure looking, veiled in lacy netting and reminiscent of a blushing bride. That's about as far as the demure personality goes, for like all stinkhorns, the bridal veil stinkhorn elicits love it or hate it sentiments and smells strongly of rotting flesh, mixed with mushrooms and garlic. How pleasant. The odor is a reproductive mechanism attracting carrion flies to help spread its spores and create more forest brides. I think you can guess the inspiration for this one. But before I even get to that, if you noticed how I suddenly started with 2 sketches instead of my usual one, it's because my biggest fear happened again, which is the fear that I have thought I hit record only to see that I didn't. Especially when I was already done with the new sketch. So you'll just have to believe me when I say I had to go through a lot of different sketches for this one. I tried to resketch the original one twice, then I tried to change the way she stood, then mess with the position of her hands a few times, then restarted because no matter how much I tried to sketch her, her dress was making her way too tall, and I was worried I would make her smaller than the rest of them, so I changed her position a few more times before I finally came up with this one. And all of that is lost now. But I thankfully caught the mess up before I even started the line art, so we didn't lose that. And now that we got that screw up out of the way, I wanted her to have a veil covering her face, so when I looked up references for those wedding dresses, I noticed that a lot of them were mermaid dresses. And I was going to make her have transparent sleeves like my favorite dress had, but since I made her veil cover so much already, I just left them as regular gloves. I think she's great, even with the scare. So now, on to the lore that I've been making the entire month. Sweet, loving, and kind, these blushing brides are wonderful fairies that love meeting others. They are not easy to find, but they are hard to miss once found. Their veils are always growing, so they can always be seen with different sizes and at times in different styles. They mate for life and take their relationships very seriously. They often become very territorial and jealous, so you should never be friendly with their partners. If you know anything about Fae, you should understand the dangers that may come from angering one. After all, it can easily become your funeral. Moving on to day 23, we got the honey mushroom. It literally says in the book, its culinary attributes, though debated, are typically deemed unimpressive and they can make you sick. As well, it can be confused with other inedible species, and so best to avoid ingesting it at all. And other names, it just says honey fungus, so don't let the sweet name and fair-faced appearance of this mushroom fool you. It's not nearly as sweet-natured as it sounds. Once thought to be a singular type of mushroom, the honey mushroom actually comprises a dozen or so biologically discrete species found the world over that look very much alike. This parasitic mushroom is often found growing in honey-hued clusters at the roots of trees or in stumps. Finding them in your yard or garden could also signal trouble. So with this one, once I double-checked I was recording, I also ended up changing her pose because I was worried it would be too similar to a few previous days. The tilt to her pose was a last-minute decision after once again triple checking that I was recording that I made right before I started the line art. I didn't have as much trouble as I did with my puffball design, despite how simple they are, so I was feeling pretty good with this one. I made sure to find a reference that leaned more into yellow tones to keep the honey theme, and I think she turned out very sweet. I also didn't want to spend too much time worrying about the smaller details since I tend to try and experiment more by the end of these challenges, which is translation to thinking I should be making every day better than the last. which I guess isn't bad on paper, but it's good to remember that not every day has to be perfect, and drawing new themes alone is enough for improvement. Progress isn't linear, and every dip isn't bad, because it's better to look weird than to burn out. And now back to the whimsy. Onto the lore I made up. Small, sweet, and simple, these fairies are known for their kind demeanor and loving communities. Often seen in large groups, these fairies stay close and grow together. They are not shy and are very easy to find. Though they have no problem welcoming many, they can easily outnumber any who threaten them. They have been seen scaring off bears from their homes multiple times, due to many bears mistaking the honey scent that tends to surround their homes for actual honey. If you think you can take on a bear, you might have a chance. Now on to day 24, we got the maitake, a choice edible highly valued for its delicious flavor, earthy aroma, and meaty texture. Maitake brings an umami flavor or fifth taste to foods. Other common names for this is the dancing mushroom, hen of the woods, king of mushrooms, sheep's head, and the unmarried woman. Okay, that's great. To take an excerpt, called the dancing mushroom by the Japanese, this name is derived from a folk story found in the 11th century Japanese folktale collection called Konjaku Monogatari, Tales of Long Ago, that tells the story of a group of woodcutters lost in the Kitayama Mountains searching for their way home, who encounter a group of lost nuns gleefully dancing and singing, also searching for their way home. When they meet, warily, the nuns explain their search for flowers to honor Buddha caused them to become lost and hungry, but they found mushrooms which they ate and enjoyed, but which caused them to dance uncontrollably. The woodcutters, being hungry too, asked for a bite, and they too danced with glee. From then on, the mushroom was known as maitake, or dancing mushroom. Again, I'm taking that from the book. I don't know how true that is, and I'm hoping it is, or at least it's not too different from the source. So with this one, I tried to keep the dancing mushroom part as much as I could. Then I wondered how dancing in the air would look like, and then I wondered what she would look like if she danced around you. And then that whole thought process led to this. The worry started when I started to color her, because if anyone has seen a maitake before, they are primarily one color. I still like her, but I'll probably add highlights before I make her a sticker, just to make sure she doesn't blend in too much. Or maybe I won't. You guys let me know if some highlights would help. But for now, onto the lore. Energetic and fun, these fairies are best known for their cheery attitudes and endless dancing. Their favorite activities tend to involve anything that gives them a reason to move. You will almost always find a decent-sized group flying all over the place. If you look a little closer, you would know that whatever strange flight path they create are just spins and swings as they dance in the air. Though they do not mean to hide, they can easily be missed once they are still, for they tend to blend into the nearby wood. Unlike some dancing fairies from before, these fairies are not so kind when they are interrupted. They will easily give you a reason to run, whether by their own means or with the help of others. They do not enjoy the company of anyone who ruins their dance, and they have driven plenty mad before. Moving on to day 25, we got the Death Cap. Obviously, deadly poisonous. And common names literally says Death Cap. Okay. Destroying Angel. Also an Amanita variety, but a different mushroom. Fun. And to take an excerpt from the book, the mushroom emerges from an egg-like membrane in late summer to late fall, typically growing in woods or their edges and often found among the oaks. It can grow up to 6 inches, 15 centimeters across. Just a single mushroom of this deathly white, sometimes shiny or metallic looking when dry, yet unassuming looking species will definitely make you sick. Deadly sick. Just ask Roman Emperor Claudius, who died a frightful death after ingesting a meal of mushrooms served up by his 4th wife, Agrippina, who quote-unquote allegedly substituted a plateful of death caps for his favorite Caesar's mushroom. And let it be known that this excerpt is from page 69 of the book. So the first thought I had with this one was Royal Queen, as if there are any other types of queens. I definitely wanted to make the cap her royal crown, the egg stem part her dress, with her wings sort of like the royal cape thing. I don't know what it's called, but I think we've all seen it before. And I did keep her pose mostly the same, except for some reason I started having trouble with her hands, and they ended up bigger than I intended, but I think it fits. Maybe you didn't even notice. Beauty marks came after I remembered the deadly mushroom had spots, and I will use any excuse to have freckles. And now, moving on to the lore. One of the most elegant fays you will ever meet. These fairies are often larger than most of their cousins, though it would not be the height that matters, but the size of their caps. They are patient, cunning, and downright deadly. Most are often warned to stay away, for their friendly demeanor can be a trick you never see coming. If you ever stumble upon one, the best way to avoid any trouble is to offer a gift. Anything shiny tend to be the best, but more often than not, they choose what the gift will be. If you ever anger one, it would be best to know how to talk your way out of there. After all, the last thing you want is to be history. Yeah, I'm keeping that joke. So, on to day 26. And we got the Liberty Cap. After the pages kept getting stuck. It is hallucinogenic, so treat it as poisonous. Other common names for this is magic mushroom, shroom, or weish tea. That one I have not heard of. To take an excerpt from the book, this unassuming little brown mushroom has a weighty name descended from history. The Liberty Cap, or Phrygian cap, was historically an actual cap given to and worn by freed and enslaved peoples of the Roman Republic. It became the symbol of Roman freedom upon the murder of Julius Caesar, and it reached its height of popularity when picked up and worn as the bonnet rouge, the symbolic red cap of the French Revolution's supporters. Then, upon its adoption by American revolutionary groups to communicate the revolt against British rule, hoisted high upon a liberty pole in town squares as a defiant display of freedom. The lore of the Liberty Cap morphed into an association with a mere little fairy cap mushroom that needed a name and that bore a remarkable resemblance to that famous hat. It was decades later that its potent mind-freeing properties in the form of the psychoactive compound called psilocybin were discovered, becoming a well-known symbol of psychedelic counterculture and self-discovery. So it went through a lot of changes, I hear. So despite all that, I kept it very simple. I already liked the original sketch, and I still like it, so the sketchy stays. I wanted to keep her fun and lively since the actual mushroom is very adorable. I had a great time trying to figure out the hand holding her cap, but overall I'm very happy with how she came out. She was very straight to the point, which was great for me since we are reaching the end soon. Once again, I used the coloring to help with the texture, and I think she's absolutely precious. Now, onto the lore. Tiny and loud, these small fairies are hard to see, but not hard to miss. They are best known for their loud voices and cheery attitudes. They are very free-spirited and love to do things their way. One of the most ever-changing fae you will ever meet. Because one day you may find them in a large group, the next you may only see a few together, another day you may see them scattered in the air, and another you may see them having small races everywhere. You get the idea. There's never a dull day when no one is around. Angering one? Well, you really deserve whatever is coming to you, because no one can warn you of whatever is coming to you. And now, on to day 27, we got King Alfred's Cakes. Inedible, also known as carbon ball, coal fungus, and cramp balls. That one is interesting. To take an excerpt, looking rather like small lumps of coal, and found growing on decaying wood, typically ash, over a period of many years, this interesting mushroom gets its name from a tale about the 9th century Anglo-Saxon king Alfred. Searching to escape capture by the Vikings, the king was given refuge by a simple peasant woman, who, not knowing he was king, tasked Alfred with keeping an eye on the cakes baking in the hearth. The results were less than edible, and it is said, in his embarrassment, he scattered the burnt cakes in the forest to dispense with the evidence. How clever. Also called a firelighter, the young pinkish-brown mushrooms develop their black shiny patina, revealing striking silver rings inside when cut open. And a little further down says mature mushrooms can serve as a fire starter and they smolder, burning slowly like the coal they resemble. Now this design was very fun. When I first saw the picture, I was worried that it was going to be another simple one-color design and then I would have to rely on the pattern. But then I read all that pieces of information and I knew exactly what I wanted to draw. Another, I didn't really change much from the original sketch. I wanted to make sure to keep the fire aspect even without the fire behind her. I wanted her to look like a little campfire pit, which is why I kept the sitting position. I ended up messing around with the fire effect I was trying to paint on more than anything else, so I hope it all looks great together. And now, onto the lore. Usually seen in their cool state, these fairies are known to be very quiet and solitary fays. They rarely interact with others, and despite that, they stay in large communities, usually found beside walking trails. They are not hard to find, but it is always recommended to never disturb one. They make way for others, so there is no reason for anyone to enter their communities, unless invited. For if you show up uninvited, you will have no trouble meeting their fiery gaze, or they would sooner burn the areas around them than allow trespassers to not know their place. And finally, day 28, we got ghost fungus, poisonous, and also known as the Australian glow fungus. To take an excerpt from the book, an ordinary beige mushroom by day, but one that glows spookily green at night, signals all may not be as it seems. This mysterious mushroom emits a bioluminescent, some say ghostly, glow. Native to Australia, these mushrooms can be found in fall after the rains, growing in forests in clusters at the foot of trees, mainly in southern Australia and Tasmania. First Nations people in Australia associated them with evil spirits and the supernatural activity of their ancestors. In Micronesia, they were destroyed as bad omens and even used as body decoration to intimidate enemies. In the United States, California and Colorado miners feared them, as the glowing spots were thought to mark a fellow miner's death, perhaps even a sighting of his ghost, and everywhere witches are drawn to them. So really just bad vibes apparently to everybody, but I think they're gorgeous. This one was a very nice surprise since this was one of the few I was hoping to land on. And with this being the last day, I just wanted to enjoy myself. So I didn't have much reason to change the sketch besides a few adjustments. I wanted to keep the otherworldly coloring while also trying to make her a phantom for the ghost part of her name. I think she ended up looking more extraterrestrial than paranormal, but I think it still works. Who's to say you wouldn't run away if you saw one of these at night in the middle of the woods? Would you probably run from an alien as well? Maybe. Actually, would you rather have an encounter with a ghost in the woods or an alien in the woods? Any Dandaram fans here? Anywhere? Nope? Okay, well, onto the lore. Often mistaken for regular fungi, these nocturnal fairies are always asleep during the day and only glow in the dark once they are awake. You will know you have found one when you rudely disturb their sleep, which is why when anyone is about to enter their territory, they are hopefully warned to never forage. For these fae value their beauty sleep more than most. They are usually a very popular sight to witness at night, but if you ever anger one, stay clear from now on, because these fae will make every night you spend in those woods a living nightmare. Even if you believe you have handled one, new ones will always appear. No amount of time away will ever matter, for they outlive most, and they will never forget. Leaving gifts every visit is the only way to avoid their wrath, that night. So you should always be aware of where and what you forage. And with that, we have officially completed February for this year. This has been such a journey, as I keep repeating, but now it is done, and I am so happy I got to finish it all. I think my favorites of this week was day 22 and day 27, but I also love day 26 too. But there are many close seconds. Which was your favorite of the week? Let me know which ones of the whole month were your favorites, and maybe you'll be able to buy some stickers of them. I've been thinking about having sticker sheets, but I haven't decided if I should do sticker sheets based on each week, or have them all on one sticker sheet. Let me know down in the comments. And if you missed any days at all, the links to the videos will all be in the description down below, as well as a playlist where you can watch everything. Every short I have made will be in there as well, so you can have it all in one place. And I hope to see you all again in the next challenge, or in the next art video I make. Or if you're interested in gaming, you can go check out my gaming channel as well. Either way, I hope you all had fun, and I hope to see you all again soon. But until then, like, comment, and subscribe for more, check out my shop, and I will see you next time. Goodbye. Oh man, what a ride, I love it.